All right, we're here for week number 52 in my week in trucking. I'm a company driver, W-2, for a company called Cheeseman LLC out of Fort Recovery, Ohio. This is my journey as I've been traveling along and what I'm earning and what I'm doing. This week, we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to talk about detention. Detention's this horrible thing that even Pete Buttigieg has started talking about the fact that people are delayed at shippers and receivers. I actually encountered detention this week. We get paid detention after 1 hour on an LTL load, 2 hours on a full truckload. And I wound up encountering detention. It's very unusual for us. What's better than being paid for detention? Not being detained. Let's talk about it. Coming up. Detention is very unusual for us. We get paid detention after 1 hour on an LTL load, 2 hours on a full trailer load. The clock in the top corner indicates from the time that I checked in to the time that I checked out. We click arrive and depart when we go in or out the gate of the shipper or receiver. And this was one of those unusual times where it actually took longer than 1 hour for them to unload their one lift truck, which did not have a battery. And this is why we will see paid detention when we look at this week's pay compensation sheet. A drop and hook is definitely faster in most cases than a live load or unload, even for a partial. Especially if it's a drop and hook when you don't have to deal with any people. You don't have to deal with the shippers or receivers. That is wonderful. You have to go in there and we open up the gate with a code. Our paperwork will already be in the back of a trailer. Well, you still have to inspect the trailer that you're dropping off. You have to inspect the trailer that you're picking up. And you have to put the trailer in a door and you have to pick the other trailer up from a door. Lock, seal, all of those things still have to be done and they do take time. And that's why we have on-duty time in addition to drive time. So all of that time does count during the week. It is not drive time, doesn't count against our 11 hours of driving. Hope that makes sense. Even when it's your company's terminal, you're going to use up some time to do your drop and hook and pick up your new load because you've got to bring in our trailer. We have to stop. We have to check the trailer, give your trailer an inspection. You have to check if it's an unsealed trailer, you're going to put it in open dock. If it's a sealed trailer, you're going to drop it on the yard. Of course, once you're inside the terminal fence, you can use yard move to get around, which counts as on-duty time, not as drive time. Now, in our case, we have to check in. So I go upstairs, I walk into dispatch. Yeah, that's right. I actually walk into dispatch where they will say, hey, what do you want to do? Once you've got your desired load paperwork, you go out, find that trailer, check the trailer, make sure the load is correct. I always want to make sure you check that the load's correct because you could get a surprise when you get to the receiver otherwise. Then I'm going to have to take the trailer up, take a quick inspection of the trailer where I give it a walk around, check all the lights, check the brakes, check the ribs underneath. I'm going to weigh the truck, fuel, and depart. It's really a simple procedure and it doesn't take a lot of time. I spent an hour total time at the terminal on this particular day. Here's another delivery, which is less than a load. I had to pull up so they could inspect. They wanted to inspect the inside of the trailer, no big deal. Then I had to go in, had to come back out to my trailer and then go back in because they actually wanted something that I didn't bring in with me. Then I had to open my doors, get myself into the dock door that maintenance wanted me to be in. They took the item that they were picking up off, and it was time to head for the gate, and I'm out of there 25 minutes. At this particular shipper and receiver, I'm not only delivering some forklifts or pallet jacks, in this case, electric pallet jacks, but I'm also doing a pickup. I have a couple of items that I have to pick up from there, and they have to be handled. They have to be unblocked to get them off the trailer and then blocked when the new stuff gets put on the trailer. Now, fortunately, it was only 2 pieces, so really easy blocking. But again, all of this does take time, and this is on-duty time. I'll bet you're wondering where I get the information for the timers that I put up in the top. On my dash camera, there is a clock that is in the unedited version. When I don't crop in and move the camera over, there's a clock, and it gives me the time when I arrive and then I take the time when I leave. And so it doesn't matter if I speed up the footage or slow the footage down, the timer will still be accurate to show how long I was at a facility. This next one's another challenging one. Got to get into the dock, don't want to block any driveways, and do not want to drive on the neighbor's driveway across the street. So I have to pull in a little tight and back in carefully. And remember, I'm going to need to leave my tractor turned as much as possible so that cars can drive by. This is a simple pickup. I'm only picking up one item, so I will not be here very long. But I do not want to tie up traffic because this is a very busy road. People are going to try and get by me all the time. When I arrived at this next stop, I'm only picking up a 70-pound battery. And I realized that due to the fact they're having their Christmas party, there are way too many vans in the parking lot for me to want to comfortably navigate around the other vehicles. So I just picked it up and carried it to the truck. And that's my cargo load to head back Fort Recovery. Time to look at the logs page. We had 3,101 dispatched miles, 2,911 logged miles, 2,914 odometer miles. Time to take a look at my actual unedited compensation sheet for the week number 52. First thing we have is the holiday pay. We get paid $150 for most major holidays. Trip number 1 went from Fort Recovery, Ohio, and ended at Fort Recovery, Ohio. It had stops in Duluth, Georgia, Ellenwood, Georgia, and Lithia Springs, Georgia. It paid $1,009, had 1,204 miles, making it 83.8 cents per mile. Trip number 2 also started at Fort Recovery, Ohio, and ended in Fort Recovery, Ohio. It had 2 stops in Collierville, Tennessee, a stop in Adamsville, Tennessee, a stop in Frankfort, Kentucky, and a stop in Lexington, Kentucky. It paid $936 for 1,219 miles, or 68.6 cents per mile. Third trip of the week was a direct terminal-to-terminal from Fort Recovery, Ohio to the Greer Terminal in South Carolina. It paid $316 and was 515 miles for 61.4 cents per mile. Trip number 4 was the leg that took me home. It went from the Greer Terminal to Shadydale, Georgia. We'll call that the home terminal. $99 is what it paid for 161 miles, which made it 61.5 cents per mile. Time for the summary box. There was $37 in detention, $28 in empty miles, $83 in handling and securement, $22 in hazmat, $150 for that Christmas holiday pay, $100 layover, which was a 34-hour reset pay, $1,930 for loaded miles, $160 for stop pay, a total of $2,512.50. That's for 3,101 miles, or 81 cents a mile. All right, taking a look at the comparison. Week number 1, since I was back, I made $1,780. Week number 2, I made $1,920. Week number 3, I made $2,228. Week number 4, I made $2,296. And the 5th week that I was back, I made $2,512. That's going to be a tough one to beat. In November, there were 12 days from the time I returned. I worked 8 of those days and was home for 4. In December, there were 24 days so far. I worked 19 of those days, was home for 3, and had 2 days as an on-the-road reset. This is where I give a few of my final thoughts, and we talk a little about my week and what I'm doing in the upcoming weeks and the upcoming year. I'm again home for New Year's. I purposely stayed out 3 weeks, which is unusual for me. I went home the first week that I was working for the company. I went home second week. Then I stayed out for 3 weeks, and then I went home 2 weeks in a row again because of the holidays falling, Christmas, New Year's. Culture is important in a company, and part of culture is being able to get you to your home time. If a company doesn't respect your home time, you've got the wrong company. Remember, I tell you all the time, you got to look at culture, home time, equipment, and compensation. And if somebody shows you a compensation statement and they cherry pick just one compensation statement, or they show you statements from back in February and tell you how great this lease program is, don't walk away from them, run. Because that's not what you're looking for. You're looking for the time overall, and you need to see the entire picture. Don't make decisions without asking the right questions. Ask to see 4 weeks of compensation statements that are recent and consecutive. Don't let somebody cherry pick and just show you, well, I don't want to show you that one because I went home that week. You want to know what's going to happen when you do your home time. You'll want to see the entire picture. The reason I show you the logs is so you can see the entire picture. You can see how many hours of on duty I've got, how many hours of driving I have, how much off time, sleep or birth time. So you get a true picture of what's going on. The home time calendar. Again, Cheeseman's not the company for everybody. A lot of people don't live in the right area. And a lot of people don't want to do the blocks. A lot of people don't like OTR LTL. And they also have regional and regional plus. Again, it's not the company for everyone, but there are companies out there for you. You do not have to go to work for a company that's only paying you $40,000, $50,000 a year. There are good companies out there. There are good companies that will put you in good equipment that you're not going to break down in every other week. And remember, make sure you're enjoying every day at work.